for 2 years.
These aren't the only possible rules or guidelines that are out there. There's some highlights that we're bringing up. Hopefully they get you thinking about, oh yeah, what about this, what about that? Your circumstances are going to be unique to you. This is the end of 2 very long, hard days. At least I felt they were hard.
They were hard. Very hard.
I guess the distance is not that far, but we have to go slower because we're pulling a trailer and we're tired and had to stop a few times.
Yes, we were. So the first night we were at our daughter's home. We got in at 11:30 last night. Now we're in our son's home in Utah. We were in Nevada for our daughter, and we're in Utah for our son. And we're sitting in a bedroom, and we have a discussion we would like to have with you. So we rented our last homestead, and I know that Joel Salatin tells people that they should rent, and Justin Rhodes says that you can rent your homestead and be where you're at.
And we agree with them.
And Curtis Stones can rent some. We totally agree with them. But we have some guidelines that we have come up with
to help your homesteading
10
experience
guidelines.
go better. Yeah.
So we're going to call them the 10 rules of renting from Hardiness Homestead. Okay? So the number 1 is that we make no assumptions when you are renting with your landlord.
You want to clarify everything. Don't assume that they are going to agree with what you're doing. They're going to like what you're doing. They're going to appreciate what you're doing, no matter how good it may be. Make certain they understand what it is you want to do.
And the second part of that is make sure that you've laid out your plan to them. What are you going to do this year? What do you plan to do in 5 years?
Which presupposes you're going to think things through before you start talking to them.
Yes. Number 2, discuss what the annual rent increases will be. There will be rent increases. Discuss it in advance to find out.
And a lot of times your landlord may not know. That's not a good sign. They should at least be able to give you some idea of what is going to gear them to have rent increases. If it's, I don't know, we'll see, then prepare yourself for surprises. But if they're going to gear it to cost of living increases, tax increases, that type of thing, then you have some gauge to go by.
And in our first year, it was raised $10 for the tax increase.
In accordance with the taxes.
So that's why we were completely shocked the second year. All right, third year, whatever.
Number 3, if you're living on a homestead, probably there's a well involved. You need to make certain that your landlord understands what kind of water use you're going to be doing and that they agree with it. And in some states there may be some limitations on how much you can use, depending, there may be a water allotment. Every state has some different rules. You may not know what they are. Your landlord is going to know what they are. But even if you're within the rules, your landlord may have some type of limitation that they impose. Know what that is so that you don't surprise
Example, when the pump broke and
pressure regulator.
All of a sudden we didn't have any water. His first question on the phone was, are you using too much water on your garden? We're like, oh, well.
No, we haven't been actually, but wow.
Number 4, make sure that he is aware of the animals that you plan to have on your homestead so that there are no surprises. If he's going to allow you to have bigger animals like pig and a cow, make sure that he understands that you're going to use paddocks and that you're going to make things that will bring the land back, that you'll follow your chickens with the cows so that there's no fly larvae and there's a real reduction in that kind of thing, and that it allows the land to renew itself.
Regenerate. We realize this is similar to number 1, and really they're kind of the same thing. This is perhaps a further clarification, if you will, or an example of the types of things, but it's very specific. If you're homesteading, this is probably one of the questions that you want to make certain you ask. Whatever else you may be clarifying, this is one you want to clarify.
Number 5, when you leave, you have to put things back the way they were.
At least most landlords are going to expect that.
And so if you have goats and they've eaten all the brambles and you knew that was expected, did he know that was expected?
Which goes back to
Does he expect the
number
brambles to be back
So,
there? So make sure whether all the fences have to come down, what the land has to look like when you're done, and know for yourself that it's a lot of work to put it back.
This is a big one, not to make an assumption about it, and that can have an effect on how you plan and what you do.
Number 6, who does the repairs and what repairs are going to be done?
Right, and if they're, who's paying depending on the dollar amounts, so on and so forth. Need to clarify that. More so on a homestead than just in a house. In a house, it's usually fairly well defined. On a homestead, you get into some areas that are potentially a lot more undefined, and so you need to know.
Number 7, find out from him if he plans to rent it long term, or her, sorry, or if they plan to sell it, what their expectations are for the property long term.
You never know what that may mean. For you, you may love the place so much that you want to buy it, and you'll get yourself in a position that you could. It also may mean that you want to make certain that if they're selling it, that, you know, if it's in a couple of years they're going to sell it, you don't know what the buyer is going to want to do. They may want you gone, so that's good to know. You need to know those things up front.
Yep. Number 8, do you plan to teach any classes or have people out to your property? Give an example.
Well, you know, one of the big topics you hear talked about when people talk about how do you make money on your homestead, agritourism is huge. Bringing people to your place to teach them about specific things that you're doing, whether it's cheese making or chicken slaughtering or whatever it might be. If you plan on doing those kinds of activities that bring people there, you need to know, because some landlords, depending on their experience with liability, the type of insurance they have, whatever it might be, they may have concerns about their personal liability. I know ours did. He didn't want us to have anybody come visit.
We planned on putting a yurt up or a large party tent and teaching classes there. When we found out, he did not even want us to allow us to let people walk through our property to go down to the river to fish. He didn't want anybody there. So make sure you know that. Number 9, what money-making ideas are you going to be allowed to do there?
And this may not be only your landlord's limitation. This may be a city, county, state kind of limitation, even federal, I guess. Understand what's possible in your area and what the requirements are, whether it's licensing or registration or whatever it might be. Make certain that it fits. You got to know those things up front.
Number 10. Number 10 is to keep a good relationship with your landlord at all times. We had a really great relationship with our landlord, and I think the mistake was that a lot of times he didn't pick up his phone, so we always text back and forth, and he would text us. And when we went to ask him if we could do more on the property, we had put it into a nice letter and gave it to him. And then he sent us a letter, and then we sent him a letter, and all of a sudden our good relationship didn't feel good anymore. So maintain a good relationship.
Something we should have done more of is when we harvested, we should have made certain
them food.
drop some off. And we didn't do that. We did it a little bit, but nowhere
He didn't
near.
live in the same town as us.
It was challenging, but there were opportunities, and we should have done it. We really should have done it.
So,
I don't know that it would have changed anything, but it would have made us feel better.
But we want you to know how much we loved living on the property for 2 years.
These aren't the only possible rules or guidelines that are out there. There's some highlights that we're bringing up. Hopefully they get you thinking about, oh yeah, what about this, what about that? Your circumstances are going to be unique to you. So use this as a starting point and build onto it. Go into it with all the questions answered, no guesswork, and make certain that you understand and your landlord understands what you both are getting into. With your
eyes wide open.
And then you'll have a better chance of being able to sustain that homestead and that location for longer.
Yep.
Very important.
Thank you. Please share this and like it and subscribe and have your friends subscribe. Thanks.